Treat you like you're a little man. Don't tell me what it's like to be half a man. It must break your heart to see what I am. What? That's a break, boy. Yeah, that's a break, little man. Break it down. You can tell me what to do. You know who you're talking to.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
Yes, we're ready. Let's do it.
Then, for the thousands in attendance, for the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to suck it!
And you know what that sound means. That's the introduction to Off the Ropes with Jason and Chris. We're going to have Scott starting up with us next week, and we're going to be a trio, a stable of sorts. Next week, Jeremy also is probably going to be calling in. Jeremy, you can hear from Sports Roundup every Tuesday, Thursday, as well as Satellite Sundays on, obviously, Sunday. Big show today. Raw actually hasn't been too bad. I'm actually, I don't want to say satisfied, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the way it ended last week. You know, the whole Roman Reigns throwing AJ Styles through the announce table after AJ spared him, and then the Usos attacked. And then all Roman saw was him hitting the Usos and flipped out, blah, blah, blah. Very Attitude Era-esque, in my opinion. But, Jason, we've been talking a little bit about this. I just realized something. I've been watching the network, and we've been talking a little bit about the era of the Attitude and about how that's probably our favorite one, or it's one
absolutely.
that we covered the most. I was watching the network, and, 2002, okay, which is right after the Invasion storyline happened. It's right after all that. It's the Ric Flair Vince McMahon beef. And eventually, I know you probably are familiar with this, but they had the thing where they did the first ever WWE draft, or back then it was WWF draft. But
Yes, I remember those.
So they split. McMahon had SmackDown, Flair had Raw. Well, I just realized something, that the first ever show, okay, that I guess the best way to call it would be a brand expansion. Okay, the best way to call it, or the best way to call it, brand expansion. I'm not sure. The first show of that was in Albany, New York. I went to, but I didn't remember, and so I'm watching the network this morning when I was just chilling, and that was one where Stone Cold was the free agent. And they wanted, him to sign, and it was April Fool's Day, and he made, Vince thinking he was signing with SmackDown, and then ended up coming, to Raw, giving the stunner to both of them, and blah, 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 blah. It was also the first time we saw the new set, which is more modern and more sort of looking like what the Raw set looks like now. It didn't have the two screens over on the side. It wasn't that older look. It was the new, more modern set. And I just realized that the first show of that era was in Albany, which is my hometown, so I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that. And then, Stone Cold deciding to, a lot of big things have happened in Albany. Edge got his name from Albany, from a radio station in Albany. The beer bath and the corporation happened in Albany. The WWF draft happened in Albany. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, there's got to be other things that have happened in Albany. And I'm like, wow, big moments happen here. It's a tiny little town. It's only got 97,000 people in the city proper. About 1 million in the Capital District. But wow, it is, there's a lot of stuff, going on in Albany. So anyway, that's my hometown rant, I suppose, for it. But my main goal thing here was where I was originally going with this was we both talked about the Attitude Era being so great. Well, 2002 and the end of 2001 had some pretty badass stories. I actually like every waking moment I have, or I'm not at work at the FM studio, or I'm not doing something for Overtime.news, or I'm not DJing. I'm watching the network because I can't pull away from, the Ric Flair Undertaker stuff, trying to think of what else it was. Oh, the different brand extensions, even the women's matches back then. Divas matches were great. It's just the atmosphere and the chaos of 2002. It wasn't as corny. It wasn't as cheesy as the Attitude Era was. It wasn't quite as over the top. But I would have to say that the end of 2001, early 2002 probably had some of the best writing from a storytelling standpoint that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I remember the draft. The first two drafts were phenomenal, and I guess that's when Russo was still around, and the writing was there, and you actually tuned into both shows
because WCW was out of business.
Yeah, so you tuned into both. You actually tuned into both shows depending on which superstar you like. You remember Cena made his name on SmackDown.
Oh yeah,
for several years.
Yeah, well, that's back when I actually watched SmackDown. I don't watch it now, and to be honest with you, I watched a heck of a lot more SmackDown after JR got drafted there.
Right.
That was, but I like the fact that The Rock and some big names in here. The Rock and big names were exclusively on SmackDown, and I like the fact that the titles had changed hands, and the titles were exclusive, other than the Undisputed title, were exclusive to whatever show the superstar had them on. So, the Continental title was exclusively on SmackDown. What was it, the European title or whatever was exclusively on Raw, and this and that. And I'm just like, wow, I think that might be something to explore. Now, I don't have the same number of people, they don't have the same size roster right to do it, but that might be something that they might be teasing here. They might have this Stephanie Shane thing break down to the point of they can't do it together, and one gets control of Raw, one gets control of SmackDown, and they do that in order to maybe boost ratings a little bit and get SmackDown's viewership up. And I could see that boiling, because this is really just a modern-day Flair McMahon from 2002. It's almost like they're rewriting the storyline. I mean, do you see that?
I could see something like that. And I could also see that this is going to spill in well into the summer, and at some point it's going to be a winner takes all, and Stephanie's going to, throw in Triple H. We're definitely going to get a Triple H Shane McMahon match at SummerSlam. I just don't know what's going to be at stakes. That's the only thing I don't see.
Well, they seem to be getting along relatively cordially at the moment.
Well, yeah, but that's going to change, man. That's a matter of time. That's going to change. Maybe it takes someone like a Seth Rollins coming back and probably asking about authority, or even Kevin Owens. They keep teasing a slow tease with Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. And Kevin Owens is my early favorite to win the Money in the Bank. So we'll see how that all plays out. It's going to be a long summer, and I like how they're building a story. Real slow, real organic, and like you said, like they used to, yeah.
Back in the good old days, yeah.
So
again, you can check us out on YouTube. All these shows will be put up on YouTube. We've had already the last show that we did. I know we took a week off last week due to life's obligations. I know Jason was at a Mets game and things like that, but we actually have had some views on YouTube, which have been pretty cool. Again, nice. Just teasing down the road, we're going to be getting Booker T on the show eventually. Hopefully Ric Flair, the same promotion company that brought us Buff Bagwell, is going to be doing that. So that should be pretty interesting, hopefully, down the road. So when that happens, we will promote the hell out of it, and we will let you all know. Again, it's going to be a slow-paced thing. Kevin, we haven't been talking to him. Bob, or Kevin's the promoter. Bob's the connection. I haven't been talking to him quite as much lately, but I think I'm going to send him an email when we get off the air tonight and try to see, about Booker and when that whole thing is going to happen, because that would be huge if we're able to get that connection. We'd be probably the only wrestling show on the internet that has talked to him in quite some time, which would be great. And like I said, we can just promote the hell out of it on social media and go from there. So sometimes you got to grow slowly to grow big. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's not going to happen overnight. So the first topic that Jason sort of came up with here is Camp WWE, which is Well, it's an animated show, kind of like a cartoon per se. I've previewed it. I haven't gotten a lot of experience with it, but it's an adult content. It's a TVMA show, and they're currently making it geared towards basically our age crowd. But it's a PG era still. It's trending more towards PG-13 at this point, but it's still a PG era. This show is dirty. I mean, based on what I've seen.
Oh,
And
it's hilarious.
but anybody who has access to the network has access to this show. So if you're trying to have your kid is bothering you about getting a new toy or something, and you just want to shut them up, and you say, oh, here's the computer, watch some episodes on WWE Network, and they come across this show, that could be big issues for this company.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I like about it was when I first turned on to it and I heard Vince McMahon started cursing, I was like, yes, it's like the good old days. And all the characters are pretty much hilarious. John Cena's the church choir boy, but everybody else is like almost spot on. You even have Triple H kissing up to Vince, and Vince is like, get away from me, you SOB. And it's a really good show. I think the second episode drops tonight after Raw. I'll probably tune into it later on. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I'll definitely check it out. I love cartoons. I mean, my favorite show is Family Guy, obviously. So Camp WWE is probably going to be something interesting. I just wonder if it's a good idea at this point to launch a show like that in what they want to be a heavily PG era. Is this something where, in this day and age where everybody's offended by everything, is this going to be something that comes back to bite them, or is this something where people are actually going to, it's going to actually help to boost ratings? Because again, if kids get their hands on this show, it might be kind of disastrous. I might be looking at some lawsuits.
But you know what? In the WWE's defense, they keep emphasizing when you watch the show or are about to watch the show, there's parental controls that you can activate for the network. So as long as they keep drilling that in, anything that happens after that is really up to the parents.
So like they've done their job.
They've done their job. They cover their bases. They keep emphasizing it's for adult only, and they keep emphasizing, hey, we got parental controls you can activate if you don't want your kids watching it, which is all good by me. Especially, I'm telling you, if you didn't finish watching the first episode, wait till you see what they did with Stone Cold. Oh my goodness, I love it.
All right. Because I remember I was laughing. I was watching a thing in 2002 between Undertaker and Stone Cold. And Undertaker called him cue ball, and I thought that was kind of funny. Now, previewing Raw here, Roman Reigns ripping apart the set again. He's got AJ Styles, and this is again something we saw a lot from '97 to 2002 when it came to destroying announce table sets. I think they've actually possibly listened to the crowd and listened to the media and are still going back to this a little bit. But one thing, you're a guy who follows more than just WWE. This Bullet Club that AJ is with now, the Bullet Club is a New Japan Wrestling trademark. Am I wrong? Because they're just calling them the Club now, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, the thing is, I believe the WWE, don't quote me on it, but I believe they bought the rights to the Bullet Club. But for some reason, they're just going to go about it with the name the Club, which sounds pretty better to me because let's say you do add Finn Balor to it. Balor's already selling shirts that says Balor Club, so then you could easily transition into the Balor Club because I'm pretty sure that's what their route they're going. So not calling them the Bullet Club is actually smart. Calling them just a club, and you're going to add more members later on around Finn Balor is perfect marketing, genius marketing by WWE.
And that's a first in recent years, I guess you can say. But
there you go.
Now, Roman Reigns. Now, this whole Roman Reigns storyline, I can't figure out if he's a heel or not. I mean, he's intense. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's having this Roman Reigns thing. It's not quite the extent that Stone Cold was during the Alliance, but they want him to be sort of, I think anyway, they want him to be a heel, but they also want the Bullet Club to be a heel. And the Bullet Club and AJ are getting cheered, even though they're supposed to be bad guys. So I don't know. I just think that people still hate Roman, and they finally made him sort of I don't want to say the villain all out, but they finally rolled with the fact that people don't like him. which is fine. The Bullet Club is supposed to be the bad guys, and they're getting standing ovations. So I think that perhaps when the Shield comes back, we teased maybe the Wyatts against the Shield sort of a thing. This could be Bullet Club versus Shield. Shield then could take a heel turn. Roman could join up with Seth Rollins, already a heel. Dean Ambrose could be arguably one of the biggest heel turns since Stone Cold turned heel. And the Bullet Club could then be the good guys fighting against the heel Shield. That's something I could see happening enough to go that route right now.
I don't know. You know, knowing WWE the way I think I know them, I think it's going to be the Bullet or the Club. It's going to be the Club versus the Shield at some point this summer. But I really think the Club is going to turn on AJ after this pay-per-view, and that's when they introduce Finn, and then you got that three as a stable, and then they're coming after Roman, or maybe AJ stays with them, and maybe he turns heel, which will work either way. They don't know what to do with Roman, so I say you hold him the way he is until you get people behind him, until you get the Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins coming back to help push him, where he doesn't have to do all the talking, because he's terrible on the mic.
Oh, he's awful. Well, what's the deal with Rollins? I know Dustin has been a little upset that that now they've teased 2 weeks in a row Seth Rollins coming back. He's been to the arena. He's been different places, and we haven't seen him. I know he's a little upset about that.
Yeah, I guess they're just waiting for the right opportunity. Maybe let this feud fizzle out, which I don't see it happening anytime soon. But possibly the week after Extreme Rules, as we get into battle. What's the next pay-per-view?
Extreme Rules, I believe.
And after Extreme Rules, I think it's Payback or something. Payback's going to be after Extreme
Payback just happened.
So what's something's coming up. It's
Not
Money in the Money in the Bank is going to be. Now TLC's I think happened already. Money in the Bank is in July. I'm not sure what whatever the June pay-per-view is. That's when you'll probably see Seth Rollins.
I'll pull this up as we're here. But yeah, so they escalated AJ too quickly as well. I know it's a fan favorite when he came in and top dogs in TNA, but possible, and he's only really been in the company for less than 6 months. Do you really think they elevate him to title status too quick?
They had no other alternative. It's either that or you elevate Kevin Owens, but then if you do that, who are you going to have win Money in the Bank? So I guess they're thinking long term. They figured, hey, we'll throw AJ out there. The other solution I would have personally thought it might have been Jericho. Jericho's always great for pushing talent. Maybe he could have got Romans over. Who knows?
Well, apparently, I don't know if you watched the beginning of Raw tonight, but apparently Big Cass and Jericho have a beef now.
Well, they got to do something with Big Cass, as Enzo recovers from his concussions. They're going to make sure he's spot on before they let him come back in the ring, which is a terrible situation that happened to him. But hey, thank God it was just a concussion.
Now, here's the list of the upcoming pay-per-views. It is Extreme Rules coming up. That's at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. The main event's already been signed, Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles. June 19th. June is actually Money in the Bank.
Okay.
So, yeah, June is Money in the Bank. So that's going to be at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. Paradise, Nevada, but it's the same thing. No man for that yet. July 21st, Battleground in Washington, D.C. Then August 23rd, 2016, my birthday, August 21st, is going to be SummerSlam at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. September 25th, Night of Champions, Bankers in Indianapolis. October, November, Survivor Series, and December, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. Before they reset again, they go to 2017. Obviously they get into the Royal Rumble in January. February is probably, I believe, what did they do in February this year? They did Fastlane. Okay, so Fastlane and then WrestleMania, and then it just restarts itself. So that's what they'll do. SummerSlam is already booked for next year. Now, Jason, SummerSlam is the Barclays 2 years in a row. They're saying August 20th, 2017.
Yeah, 3 years in a row.
Wow.
They signed that deal, which I'm surprised they even did that. That's unprecedented. Yeah,
it's the same place, because I know back in the day they used to use a lot of the same arenas, but they never went the same one twice. Like, for instance, Kemper in Kansas City, which is obviously, fortunately, the one that Owen Hart died at, that was one of the bigger ones that they went to, but they never held a review. I mean, they had edge there several times, but not back-to-back years. So that's interesting how they've signed that deal. But again, it's a new era, it's a new age, so that happens. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Jay, perhaps. Now, we talk about this talent thing. We talk about how this particular day and age, they're hurting for talent. They don't have the same people, that back in the day had. They had actually a huge roster back then, especially when the WCW guys came over after they went out of business. They had a surplus of people to use. Now they're running out of people to use. Ryback just left. Now, we've been saying, I mean, I don't want to say I called this because I didn't actually call it, but we've been saying that they've been misusing Ryback for a long time now. And finally we see Ryback fed up with it and finally say, hey, listen, why are guys that are not as good as me or whatever it is, I believe it was a contract dispute actually. He felt like he wasn't getting paid enough and wasn't getting used enough for his talents. Not, but right now there's a big dispute going on. Do you know any more about the Ryback thing that I'm seeing here? Or is Ryback or is every
What was so funny about the whole Ryback situation is the Ryback was the first guy to trash CM Punk when he was going through his situation. Verbatimly, he's doing the same things. The same things happening to him. I find that hilarious, and I'm glad that my guy CM Punk is taking a high road and not telling you I told you so into Ryback. But I think the WWE did the best they could do with Ryback. He has no charisma. I mean, if you think Roman Reigns is bad, Ryback is 1A to Roman Reigns 1B as being the worst in terms of like big guys with no charisma, no mic skills.
Well, that's why they took him off the Continental title, because that's such a big belt, and they had him on, I believe, one of those talk shows. I don't know if it was the Highlight Reel or one of those ones where they do the talk show inside of Raw. He just, like, listening to him talk, you were just like, oh my God, like, can this end, please? Yeah, so he is not very good on the mic at all. But I think in this day and age, you have to be good on the mic. I mean, it's one of those things where the Attitude Era, you could get away with it, just wouldn't let you talk. But now it seems like everybody has to be skilled in pretty much every aspect of it. It's because the talent is so thin.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at Kevin Owens. His stuff on the mic is like so amazing, and you can tell he's just flowing with it. I'm pretty sure a lot of the guys they get told what to say. Kevin Owens is pretty much freestyling everything, and it's coming out organically well. Same thing with Seth Rollins was great at that. Even Cena, as much as some people want to troll Cena was awesome on the mic. Even from day one, he was awesome on the mic. That's something you just got to work on if you want to be irrelevant. Look at Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder is a perfect example. This week they had a lot of people got cut. Wade Barrett's gone, a couple of Santino Morales gone, a couple of the divas, a couple of the wrestlers. Someone like Zack Ryder is still with the company throughout all these years because he makes himself irrelevant, especially on the mic. If he's not wrestling, he's doing something on YouTube or the internet to make himself relevant. You got to do something. These guys who have no mic skill, they got to develop something. Unless you look like Roman Reigns, you're not going to last long if you don't talk well.
Back in the Attitude days, like we were saying, they had events that they just you didn't if you couldn't talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Now Ryback, I like the whole idea of him being gigantic, and honestly, I've never understood how they wanted to play it off as if it's real. Okay, now I know that a lot of people know now that it's not, but back in the day, they wanted to play it off as if these guys were, these storylines. What person on this planet would believe that a guy like The Big Show or a guy like Kane or a guy like The Undertaker wouldn't just run roughshod through a roster? The fact that Big Show wasn't a 10-time champion, or guys like Ryback weren't just throwing people around left and right, and really guys like Rusev, nowadays anyway, Rusev and Ryback were basically turned into glorified jobbers. Really, because you want big guys are the guys that you need to make the deal and you need to make them in it, and then you need to have everybody else so have a power struggle but not. That makes it interesting. The fact that big guys are coming out and basically laying down, it just makes it less and less believable, at least to me.
No, I agree. I totally agree. Unless you have someone like a Paul Heyman as your mouthpiece like Brock Lesnar. But someone like Brock.
Yeah.
But someone like Brock, if he had to speak, he's very articulate. Like if you remember his if you watch any of his UFC highlights or his post game talks, he could talk it up with the best of them. It's just the way that the WWE portrays him as not so much being a talker. But if he had to talk, he'll dish it out. But other than that, a lot of the big guys, they just have no charisma. It's sad because it was never like that during the Attitude Era.
What's the next step for Ryback, you think?
Honestly, if I was Ryback, if I was in his corner or in his camp, I would tell him, like, hey, you're in amazing shape. You look good. I would polish up my skills. I would go to New Japan Pro and do kind of like what AJ Styles did. You know, he left TNA, then he went to New Japan Pro, and it's like, you know, that's what piqued the WWE interest. They had no interest in him before when he was in TNA, so he went to New Japan Pro, polished himself. Same thing with Luke Gallows. Remember, Luke Gallows was Festus, and he was also Luke Gallows with the Straight Edge Society. He went to New Japan Pro, brushed up himself, you know, got his line with the Bullet Club, and now years later, Vince comes calling back for him. So that's what I would do if I was Ryback. I wouldn't burn the bridge that he's trying to do right now. You know, WWE will always be there. Just hone your skills and come back.
Now, yeah. Now there's not anything like a TNA for them to go to. There's really no competitors right now. Ring of Honor is a big leap down, as much as it's entertaining. So, you know, yeah, Japan Pro, but the problem is then you got to go all the way out to Japan, right? I mean, maybe I don't follow this stuff as much as I should. They would have to basically go live in Japan for however long, right?
They would have to. You know, New Japan Pro has a network as well. If you're ever interested in watching some stuff, I'll give you my password information. You can definitely check it out. They have some good quality matches.
Now, is it sort of a more high flying style, or I mean, are they more focused on matches, or do they have actual full storylines like what WWE has always done?
They have storylines, but they're mostly focused on matches. Like you see phenomenal matches and great stunts, kind of like, you know, how we used to see with the Attitude Era. You know, you see a lot of blood, you see a lot of chair shots to the head, things like that.
Okay. Now, was this sort of a stupid decision by WWE to let him go? Because I know he was, as much as he was a big meathead, he was kind of a fan favorite. I mean, fans loved him. And, you know, with social media and technology being the way that it is, fans can look at circumstances. There's media, there's all sorts of stuff that they can get on the phone, get on Facebook, whatever it is. And, you know, back in the day, if he was let go, they spun the storyline to make it seem like, you know, it was an injury, or do is if somebody was getting fired and they had their last match, somebody was being released in contract or whatever, okay, they would have to go out by another wrestler. They would say, hey, listen, okay, fine, you just one match, go out and just get your ass kicked and just basically get put on the shelf, and people are going to say, okay, well, so-and-so destroyed him and now he's gone. They can't do that anymore. Now everything is leaked and everything gets out. This could be negative press to WWE, because if they did the same thing to CM Punk that they did to Ryback, I know Ryback's not nearly as popular as Punk was, but they might say, hey, you know, who's next? And what other stuff are you going to fall in love with that's just going to throw away?
Well, that's the thing. Well, Ryback left on his own. He's still on the contract. He's just upset about the negotiations behind the scene. And one thing that WWE doesn't like you do is to air out the dirty laundry, and that's what Ryback did. So the best thing they could have done was to take him off of programming. Now it's up to Ryback to see how he wants to, you know, handle the situation. But again, I think he should leave and brush up his skills and be a hotter commodity. But we'll see how that all plays out.
Now, you think that is a plan of WWE? Like, if he said, okay, well, if you don't do it this way, I'm going to leave, they probably, do you think that's something that they might be happy about and saying, hey, you know what, maybe you go somewhere else and and go brush up, and then maybe if we need him down the road, we can use him? Or are they just saying, hey, listen, he's just being a little bitch here, and we don't care if he goes or not?
I think they're doing the they don't care if he's being a little bitch, because again, they have so much talent in NXT. They could instantly pull up Samoa Joe or Eric Young or Bobby Roode or anybody else from NXT to pull them up on the main roster, and we'll forget all about Ryback.
Now, you had talked a little bit about your SummerSlam dilemma. And, again, SummerSlam on my birthday, August 21st, 2016 this year. It's a Sunday, which means that I can probably go to it because, again, I work Friday night, Saturday night, my DJing gig, so I won't really have anything going on. It won't be football season yet. What is your SummerSlam dilemma? Why is there a dilemma here? I mean, you can walk to the Barclays Center. What's the big deal here?
All right, so as most people may or may not know, but I work for Viacom, and that same day is the MTV Video Music Awards, the VMAs. So usually they have a team. I used to work the VMAs when they were at Radio City a couple of years ago. I would help out backstage on air, things like that. But the last 4 years, they had their own team or production team for that. So they didn't really need us to fly out to LA or fly out to Vegas. But now that it's going to be back in New York, it's going to be at the Garden the same night as SummerSlam.
Ooh.
I didn't sign up to commit to working it because of SummerSlam, but I'm very intrigued knowing that, I'm going to drop an exclusive here on Off the Ropes that they're planning 2 huge tributes that night. They're going to do an opening tribute to Dave Bowie, and they're going to do a closing tribute to Prince. Now, those things are intriguing. You don't want to miss those things. Yeah, so it's really a dilemma. Do I work that night, or do I enjoy SummerSlam weekend, which I already requested off before, knowing that the VMAs were going to be back here in New York for the first time in a few years, and going to be at the Garden for the first time ever. So
can you go back now? Can you go back on it now? Can you tell them, hey, listen, stuff came on and I can work now and I want to, or is it one of those things where you're already off?
I could do that, but I feel, like I really want to enjoy the wrestling weekend because I want to go to NXT again. I want to do Raw the day after SummerSlam. I want to do SummerSlam. And ironically, from what I'm hearing, the NXT show might not be at Barclays. It might be at the original home of Monday Night Raw over at the Hammerstein Ballroom. So they kind of want that old school. They want that old school feel, which ironically is across the street from the Garden. So again, I want to have a nice
That's what ECW was
weekend.
before, right?
Right, ECW One Night Stand was there. Raw for the first couple of years was at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, that is kind of a dilemma. I mean, for me, I would look at it like, okay, I get SummerSlam. It's right down the road. You could probably, if it was an outdoor arena, you could probably hear the noise from SummerSlam from where you live. Yeah. And so I'm like, it's right there. You can walk to it. You don't have to worry about traffic. You don't have to worry about parking.
Yep.
It's probably going to be a good nice night. Do you go and enjoy the weekend, have some beers, watch a big pay-per-view, which is arguably probably going to be one of their biggest ones of the year so far, other than WrestleMania, probably the biggest of the year.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, basically, SummerSlam's always been huge. So you're like, okay, which one do I want to do here? Go drink some beers, watch the biggest pay-per-view that's, something crazy is going to happen. It's right in my backyard. I can leave when I want. I can walk home. I don't have to deal with all the people and the traffic and the nonsense. Or I want to go and get paid. I don't know if I'm assuming they'd pay to be there. Do I want to go make money and meet a bunch of celebrities and see these tributes live in person? But then again, you can also DVR that.
There you go.
So I don't know if it means enough to you from a music standpoint to be there in person. If it means, or if DVR it the next day or even later that night might be something interesting, because you're working for Viacom, so you're going to be, I don't want to say one of the guys, but you're going to be there. Okay, so like I'll give you an example. I used to work on a Connect School of Broadcasting. I did I don't want to call it an internship, but I worked for it's gonna sound kind of gay, but I worked as an MC for a dance company. Okay, so basically what it was dance competitions from studio that was 3 all the way up to 30, and basically it was mostly girls, but they had some guy dances too. And basically I would do 2 things. I'd either be the announcer who would announce the next artist, the next whatever, and play their song and do their whole thing and get the crowd going and do whatever, or I'd be backstage making sure everything was organized, making sure the dancers were ready to go and this and that. Now, being there and being part of that, I feel like was, to me, I could say, wow, we were at nationals. This was something special. This was a big time thing. Like that they won all these competitions, blah, 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 blah. And I was there. I was part of it, whether I was the announcer or whether I was the backstage manager with a little walkie-talkie set. But if I was sitting in the crowd, I would have been like, okay, can we go home now? Some TV I want to watch. This is boring. So in a way, I think it would be kind of cool to be at the MTV event. I think it would be kind of cool to go and do all of that. But then part of me also says, if it's not something you're super passionate about, and wrestling is something that you're super passionate about, which I would hope because you do this show, to me, I'm like, I don't know. Like, that would be a difficult decision to me, just because obviously the money, the money would be tempting, but I don't know. It is kind of a dilemma. What are we leaning towards?
I'm leaning towards going to SummerSlam, but in the defense of VMAs, they're always crazy. They're always a lot of work. When they had the last one I did was when they had it at Barclays, and that was pretty cool. But I was at the VMAs when Kanye went on did his little rant towards Taylor Swift, and backstage was it was incredible. This was like right before social media blew up, so we didn't really like tweet about it or I didn't put it up on social media. Actually, there's a zero. You have to go dark when you do the award shows. You got to go dark on social media. They catch you on social media, they'll instant termination. But back then, when all that stuff happened with Taylor Swift and Kanye, people were in the uproar backstage. I mean, people were looking for Kanye. Kanye was getting cursed out. He was escorted out the building. There was a lot of things. I saw the infamous Hennessy bottle with my own 2 eyes. So there's always something. It's always an adventure when it comes to VMAs. So I'm really torn on what to do about this.
Now I'm trying to get Dustin to give us a call in here because he always one of those kind of enigmas, and he's always has strong opinions on something. So obviously for me, I'm very indecisive. I'm not somebody that's gonna make a decision and say, you know what, screw that, do this. I'm gonna be like, both sound pretty cool, whichever one you want to do, whichever one makes you happy, blah 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 blah. So he's the one probably will be quick. Now we're gonna revisit this at 11 because Dustin just told me. Hold on. Yes, please call then. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Dustin call in real quick, and he's going to you're going to restate this dilemma to him, and he's going to tell you, he's basically going to dictate to you and say, okay, this is what you're doing, because he's the one who's good at making decisions. He does that quite often, unfortunately. Now, another thing that sort of, and I think this should be a segment, as you know, we've introduced the Grinds My Gears segment on Satellite Sundays. We're going to maybe do it on the Thursday show. Something that really kind of grinds my gears that I was a little upset about and actually kind of flat out almost disgusted by was the Stephanie McMahon comment regarding Chyna.
Yeah.
She was asked about it, saying, oh, well, her contributions are unmatched, and, I'm sure one day, she will end up in the Hall of Fame, blah, 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 blah. I mean, she's dead, okay? And a big part of why she's dead was the depression that she wasn't in the Hall of Fame and that you guys basically had blackballed her. So, I mean, I would say that a 75 to 80% reason why she was on so many drugs and was upset was because of what you guys did. You didn't put her in the Hall of Fame, and you're putting guys like Snoop Dogg in the Hall of Fame, who's came out and made an appearance twice at WrestleMania. You're putting Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. You're putting superstars that nobody that is alive today even remembers in the Hall of Fame. But yet Chyna, who was such a driving force back in the Attitude Era. From 97 to 2001, she was the woman and was involved in some of the biggest storylines, besides the Stone Cold Vince storylines anyway, some of the biggest storylines of that era. And because she was an Triple H and Stephanie's jealousy got in the way, and Triple H doesn't want to piss off his wife because she technically has more. She technically has more power than he does. Okay, and she doesn't want him running to daddy and having Triple H get in trouble and all this. He basically took the role of a new boyfriend and was like, hey, listen, maybe we shouldn't talk anymore, blah, 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 blah. Now, not that Chyna wanted to be with Triple H again anymore or whatever, but just sit down and talk to her from a business standpoint. I understand she did porn. I understand she didn't make the best life choices after she got out of the wrestling business. That's not a reason to keep her out of the Hall of Fame. I mean, if you listen to Dog's music, okay, and you listen to the fact that he smokes, according to him anyway, almost a pound of weed a day. How is that influential to kids? You want to have Snoop Dogg in the Hall of Fame when he made 3 WWE appearances, and he came out wearing Crip colors and a blue bandana, okay, which was a subliminal message. How does he make? I understand. Okay, I'm fine with him being in, but how does he make it over somebody like Chyna? And now when Chyna's dead, because of what you did, you say, oh well, her contributions are unmatched, and I'm sure she'll be in eventually. It's disgusting. I've lost respect for Stephanie, not just from a business aspect, but really as a human being too.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And you know what's funny? You bring up a good point about like Snoop and stuff, but I'll give you one better. Sunny, I don't know if you remember Sunny. Sunny's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And she did porn. And in the porn, she's wearing her WWE Hall of Fame ring, which is a total smack in the face. Geez. But they wouldn't remove her. They wouldn't remove her from the Hall of Fame. They wouldn't even make an announcement or even talk about it. But yet someone like Chyna, who's had not only won the women's title, but she also held the Intercontinental title twice. She's not in the Hall of Fame. First woman to do that, probably the last woman to do that, but you're not going to put her in the Hall of Fame while she was alive, even if you guys weren't on speaking terms. Again, like I said a couple weeks ago, I think the reason they never did that is because of a live mic. They was afraid what she would do with a live mic. All you had to do was, tell her like, hey, listen, air out your. Look what happened with Ultimate Warrior. There was a lot of bad blood, but him and Vince got it together. They made up. Same thing with Hogan. They're gonna make up eventually. It's going to give it some time. They're gonna make up. Same thing with Bret. It's just Stephanie.
Well, I'm surprised that Bret Hart made it because if you know the Montreal Screwjob, that was one of those things that wasn't kayfabe. I mean, that actually was
that actually happened.
That was something that actually Vince did to Bret, and he never really forgave him. And then that was in '97. A year and a half later, his brother dies at a WWF event because somebody didn't hook his cord properly, and he falls 70 feet to his death. So the Hart family really has a legitimate reason to have beef with WWF, and even they, like you said, had cooler heads prevail and saw the higher light and have sort of made up in a sense. Hogan, he had a lot of things, the racial comments, the different things. Now this whole Gawker thing where he was on a sex tape, this and that. I mean, but even with all of that, okay, Hogan basically could have done anything but kill somebody. Can't keep him out of the Hall of Fame because Hogan made wrestling. He put wrestling on the map. I mean, he's the reason why wrestling was as popular as it was, and almost, I don't necessarily want to say this to take credit away from guys like Buff Bagwell and Dallas Page and things, but part of the reason that WCW was kicking the WWF's ass in ratings from 94 to 99 or whatever it was partially because of the NWO and Hulk Hogan. So,
absolutely.
I mean, I just feel like he was so instrumental that you can't keep this guy out of the Hall of Fame. He is arguably the Pete Rose of that era, and except for the whole gambling, whatever, Pete Rose probably never going to beat the Hall of Fame until he dies either, which is also disgusting to me. But I just feel like you're going to put guys like that in there. You're going to put Sunny. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Sunny was already in when she did the porn?
She was already in when she did the porn.
Okay.
I think the porn is going to be like a year old now, but There's a lot of articles talking about it, like, she's wearing the ring in the porn video, which I think that is just so classy. That is such a classy move. If you want to really stick it to the WWE, literally, that's what you do.
Now, do you feel Chris Benoit gets in?
That's a very good question. I think he doesn't get in until, when he gets in? He gets in when we finally have a real open topic discussion about, CTC and things like that. Once we start getting,
or just being a psychopath, one of the two.
Yeah, one of the two.
Well, we got a caller on the line here, 516 Nassau County, Long Island. Caller, what's up? Hello.
Does Benoit? Yeah, I'm sorry. Does Benoit
there you are. No
get
problem.
in the Hall of Fame? Yeah. Does Benoit get in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, does he? Does Chris Benoit get in? Was what I was asking Jason. Yes.
Benoit is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
Yes, but he also killed his whole family. I mean,
right.
he
There's a
basically
great
was serving life
boxer
in
called
prison right
Edwin Vasera. There's a great boxer called Edwin Vasera, and he did the same exact thing as Chris Benoit, but he won 17-0, just beastly. And people said the same thing. Does he get credit for it? And he did the same exact thing. Edwin Vasera was supposed to be the next Manny Pacquiao. Look him up. And he did the same exact thing.
Jason, do you know who the caller's talking about?
I'm not too familiar. I gotta look that up.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now. But so he did sort of the same thing. Went on a rampage, killed his family, whatever. Now, did he end up killing himself as well?
Yes.
Okay.
The same exact thing. And people, but was he still one of the best is the question.
Of course he's one of the best, but caller, put it this way. If they had a boxing Hall of Fame, which they might, I don't know, but would he be put in that Hall of Fame because of his actions? We're not denying that Chris Benoit wasn't one of the best. I loved watching Benoit both in WCW and in WWF, but because of what he did, killing his young daughter, his wife, and himself, does he go into the Hall of Fame because of those actions? We're not taking away from his talent here. He was supremely talented.
It's a tough. Well, because how do you induct him into the Hall of Fame is the question. You know what I mean?
True.
It's the ultimate Pete Rose question. Does he deserve to be there? Yeah, I think so.
Talent-wise, yes.
Benoit, exactly. You just so no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Talent-wise, he deserves it. What he did is a disgrace to the sport. I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think?
I mean, from talent standpoint, obviously he deserves to be in. I think Chris Benoit was a major player, and he was one of those guys that was, he called himself the best damn technical wrestler out there, and he was, for sure. And he had a rich wrestling background, in scholastic wrestling field as well. But he just, like I said with the Hulk Hogan thing, Hulk Hogan could have. Well, like I said with the Hulk Hogan thing, Hulk Hogan could have done anything but kill somebody and in the Hall of Fame. And that's why I don't think the sex tape thing is going to keep him out. I don't think the racial comments will keep him out.
Nah, he'll be back. Hogan will be back.
Yeah, exactly. Hogan will get in, and because he made wrestling what it was. Chris Benoit, however, basically put a mark on the wrestling industry with what he did just because of how egregious it was.
He didn't put a mark. Yeah. It's a tough call. I say, here's what I say. Did anybody look up Edwin Valesa?
Yeah, we're doing it now. Jason,
yes. Give me the name one more time. Give me the name.
Edwin Valera. He was a boxer.
Valero, I got it right here. Edwin Valero, boxer. Pulling this bad boy up. Okay. Edwin Valero died April 19th, 2010. Valero, professional boxer, undefeated in 2 different weights. Looking at Venezuelan career. Okay, murder charges and suicide. It says here, Edwin Valero, on April 18th, 2010, he was arrested and police found the body of his 24-year-old wife, Carolina, in a hotel room in Valencia, Carabobo. He was considered a suspect taken to jail. He allegedly admitted to hotel security. Blah, blah, blah. The following day, he was found hanging in his prison cell by his pants. He was found legally dead at 1:30 a.m. So, okay, so he killed himself in prison.
And this was the boxer that, and then look at his record. He beat Antonio DeMarco. I don't know if you guys know about boxing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, Jason fought it more than I do, but yeah.
He was supposed to be the next Manny Pacquiao.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at he was champion in multiple weight classes. 27 fights, 27 wins, 0 losses, wins by knockout 27. So basically he knocked out everybody he was in the ring with, which is an impressive stat. Eat your heart out, Floyd Mayweather. That's an impressive stat. And I'm looking at this here, allegations of assault, career roadblocks, Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, he certainly has the resume. I'm through several pages here of his stuff. And
Exactly.
more than that, he has a better resume than Chris Benoit. I mean, this guy was undefeated 27 fights. And I'm looking at some names here that he beat, some big time boxing names. And yeah, I mean, okay, so Carla makes a point that a guy who essentially does the same thing as Benoit, who had, I guess, a more storied career than Benoit in a different sport, isn't Carla saying that he didn't get the same recognition? Like, are you saying that boxing sort of blackballed him a bit because of what he did? Or are you saying that he is recognized as one of the greats regardless?
Well, boxing would never give him the Hall of Fame, just the same way wrestling would never. But you asked about the action, about killing, and he exactly did exactly the same thing.
Yeah, the same thing.
He killed his wife and kid.
He might be one of the first cases, because this was back in 2010 that happened. This might be the first cases of CTE, because you look at this whole CTE thing is big and talking about boxers who get hit in the head constantly. This could be the first cases of CTE, but yet they're never going to mention this guy on ESPN. They're not going to talk about him when they're talking about CTE on any of the media networks. I think it's sort of the same way. I mean, WWE did the tribute to Benoit. McMahon came on, they had the arena, and they went through some of Benoit's life and highlights, and then you never heard the name again. You never saw merchandise again.
He took away from that. Like, did you guys see that Chyna interview with her talking about the Illuminati? That's just
not. I did not see that one. I
didn't see that one either.
I heard about it. I didn't watch it though.
It bugged me out. Personally, I don't believe in the Illuminati. It bugged me out, but I did listen to it. You know what I mean?
Of course,
she said, she was like, "Oh, he wants to see me dead more to be successful," and I was like, "Damn, how Chyna?" I was like, "How's Chyna gonna say that?" Like, damn, like.
Well, she was also on a lot of drugs, a lot of medication.
Yeah, she was very hurt. She was a very hurt individual.
Yeah, she was very messed up mentally.
Wouldn't you be if you were supposed to be a semi-top successful, like, wrestler, and your
probably.
You know what Chyna's mistake was? Chyna's mistake was being too faithful to WWE when WWE wasn't faithful to her. She could have went to TNA and did something with herself, but she was too loyal to them, to the point where she even messed around with with what's his name, 1-3 kid, and ended up
Sean Waltman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you read her book though?
Yes.
I didn't go through the book. I didn't go through the whole book.
I saw the book. Yeah,
That's
I tend to get all the books, McFoley, The Rock. I tend to get all those books from those guys when they put them out, or guys or gals in this case. Yeah.
The best book China did against, well, the best chapter I read was the Jarrett chapter. You remember the Jeff Jarrett chapter?
I vaguely, yeah, it was a while ago when I read it, but yeah. And Jeff Jarrett was an asshole in his own right. I mean, Jeff Jarrett did a lot of sketchy things as well outside of the wrestling ring.
He did what he had to do. You know what I mean? Like, his contract expired.
Right.
Vince Russo, and you know Vince Russo and Jeff Jarrett are tight, you know?
Right, I remember that.
So Russo went and told him, yo, you know your contract's expired tonight, right? You don't have to fight. This is the day he's supposed to lose it to Chyna. So she said, this is the only day I seen Vince actually lose. Because Vince said, yo, I'm not losing. Jeff said, I'm not losing. I don't know if it was 25 or 250 or whatever. He was like, that's the only time I seen Vince hung by the walls like, damn. All right. You got it.
I hear you. Well, thank you for your contributions, Cole. That was actually a lot of great points here, and in fact, was I had no idea about the Valero thing. So that's actually a very solid point. Should go in the Hall of Fame after doing essentially the same thing Benoit did, and we're not going to see Benoit in the Hall of Fame. Arguably, I don't think we're going to see him in the Hall of Fame because of that. So.
Not only that, but he's not going to get in the Hall of Fame because it's a public company. We got to remember that. You know, they're really PGS. They're not going to, you know, let this thing linger. That's why, you know, Vince went on the next week and retracted everything he did for the night that Benoit died.
Yeah, and you know, remember he had the whole empty arena. He had the whole thing, and you know, they ran through his life and they did the whole thing, and you know, they went through his career and the whole shebang. But then you never heard from him again. You never heard anything about him again. We're waiting on Dustin here. We got 3 minutes left, and then Dustin is going to give us a shout, and you can go over your dilemma a little bit with Dustin. Caller did a great job of outlining a very interesting Edwin Valero story. Again, I had no idea about the Valero thing. Going back to this topic, I just got to ask you and get your point out here, because I know you had different superstars that you were fans of than necessarily I was during that time period. You can choose, okay, any wrestler from, look at this. First of all, on Raw, before I get into that, Dean Ambrose is on Raw wearing Jericho's jacket.
Awesome.
And, okay, so that's very Attitude Era-esque. Look at that. Okay, so coming back with a bang is Dean Ambrose here. We're not actually going to see a match, though, unfortunately. It's kind of a weak main event, kind of weak way to end Raw. But either way, Ambrose is back. If you choose any superstar from the 90s all the way up till today, if they were doing an all-time draft, like what they can do on Madden and things, they're doing an all-time draft, who would you choose with your number one pick? And let's say all these guys were still in their prime, all these guys were still, in their fighting shape from their respective eras. Who would you choose as your number one overall pick?
Ooh, that's a tough one. You know what? I'm gonna go Shawn Michaels. In the prime, you said anybody in their prime. I'm going Shawn Michaels.
Anybody from the very beginning of your knowledge of wrestling all the way through today? Yes.
Yeah, I'm going with Shawn Michaels, and the reason I'm going with Shawn Michaels is because I don't think I've ever seen anybody, maybe Brett, that really evolved from the tag team circuit. No, matter of fact, no. Shawn, the difference between Shawn and Brett was Brett, you could tell he was going to be a technical wrestler. But when Shawn was with Marty Jannetty as the Rockers, you knew from then that Shawn was going to be a star. So I'm going to go with Shawn Michaels as my number one draft pick.
Okay. Now, and the reason I brought this question up, partially because I'm stalling waiting for Dustin, but also because I was watching the draft episode today. Was that a cat?
Yeah, I think that was a cat.
Was that your cat?
Oh, that wasn't my cat. That's
Oh,
why you
I was
heard
like,
me.
that sounded like a.
You probably heard me sneeze.
Okay. Because I was like, wow, that sounded like a cat. That was awesome. No, so the reason why I brought this up was, one, like I said, I'm stalling, waiting for Dustin here, who's going to be calling momentarily, but also because I watched the draft episode and I saw that Ric Flair's first pick was The Undertaker and Vince McMahon's first pick was The Rock. And, obviously they wanted to build the SmackDown brand up, put The Rock on The Rock show and have him exclusive to it and blah, 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 blah. I look at it from a business standpoint, who is going to put asses in seats? Who's going to sell tickets, who's going to sell T-shirts, and who's going to be electric every night? Obviously, Shawn Michaels is a very solid choice. The history, there's been so many great wrestlers, and unfortunately, our knowledge is so limited because of our age. We're not looking at guys like Captain Lou Albano and, Jake the Snake Roberts and guys like that because that was way before our time. So maybe somebody who was a little older than us who would come on the line with us would pick somebody like that. I would have to probably say, let's see. So Shawn Michaels. So who would I pick as a splash if you took Michaels? I gotta go with a guy like The Rock or a guy like Stone Cold, and that's simply just because it's gonna put asses in seats. It's gonna be dynamic every week. I also possibly could pick Sting, possibly a Goldberg. If I could make a solid number one, and I'm going to ask Dustin this question too. It's funny. I asked the question thinking I was going to have you, thinking like, I don't know, and now I'm like waffling here. I don't know. There's so many. You know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna go with Stone Cold just simply because of what he brought to.
He's a safe number one pick right there.
Yeah, safe pick. And whatever. But again, guys like Lou Albano and Jake the Snake Roberts and Ted DiBiase, guys like that who were before our time, could also be solid picks for somebody who was a little older. So 27 minutes to go here. Waiting for Dustin to give us a call in. It's now 11:02, Dustin, for somebody who's such a Nazi about time. You're a little late here. We are on Off the Ropes. We had a caller call in. Now, we never got the caller's name, unfortunately, but he made a very solid point regarding Edwin Valero, who did the same thing as Benoit. Valero has sort of been blackballed from the boxing world, just like Benoit was from the WWE world. And we talked a little bit about Jason's Dilemma, which we're going to run by Dustin real quick. Now, Stephanie and Shane are on Raw. And for those listeners who might be first-time listeners out there, we do take you through the end of Raw and give us our takes. My Raw is on mute right now, unfortunately, so let me turn it back on. Yeah. Okay, so now this is interesting because Stephanie is looking at a photo of her father and Shane together. Oh, there's that look. Remember how you said you don't think that they're going to get along for a while?
Uh-huh.
Well, now Stephanie the wheels are turning. You can tell the McMahon wheels are turning a little bit. Another thing about Stephanie, she just, I don't know. She has been that whole. I liked the whole kayfabe divorce angle, the whole thing that they did, but I just think that Stephanie has been almost, I want to say, annoying, in a way throughout the years because I don't know. I just do you like the whole Stephanie McMahon thing, like the fact that I know she's in power now, but I found that she was just really, she was good during the McMahon Helmsley regime. She was good, in that whole aspect. But for an overall sense of her, she just really was kind of a waste of space. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. You're right. She's just overused, but she's great on the mic, and she's a natural heel.
Voice, whoa.
Yeah, she's a natural heel. So it's like I understand what they're doing with her.
Now, Dean Ambrose is ending Raw here. They're going to set up a Dean Ambrose Jericho thing. Jericho probably the only real legend who is still around, still doing anything. And let me just set this off because Chris Leo's Best is on here on my cable, and I don't really want to watch that. So, okay, Raw's off the air here. Good. Stop and save. Good. So, okay, looking at Jericho, he's still in great shape. He's been a guy who has proven that he can do things that guys like Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Mick Foley can't do, and that show up and compete on a nightly basis, on a weekly basis. But let me ask you, because I just read over the card that's going to be coming to Albany. I was so pumped. May 20th, I believe it was.
Okay.
There's going to be a WWE event in in the arena now called the Times Union Center in Albany, where all these great things have happened throughout the years, and it's not Raw. At first, I thought, oh yeah, sweet, Monday Night Raw is coming. Well, I'm going to be there because I don't have anything to do other than the show, and I can do what you did when you were at the show and call in live from the event. I realize now it's this thing called WWE Live, so it's basically a house show. So it's not going to be televised. It's not going to be So WWE Live. So what exactly? Just sort of run me through that. Like if I were to purchase tickets, they're $47 for tickets, which I think for a house show is crazy. What would I see?
The cost of personality. I know your anger, I know your dreams. I've been everything you wanna be. Oh, I'm the cost of personality.
What up?
Dustin always has to come in with a splash. We were just stalling, waiting for you, and we were talking about WWE Live, which was an event that's coming to my hometown, and I thought it was Raw, and it's not. So Jason was right about to give me the rundown as to exactly what that is and what I'll be spending $47 for a ticket for, and if it's worth it. So before we get into the question, we had to ask Dustin, Jason, what is WWE Live? Is this something that is worth me spending the money to go see? It's not even televised, I don't believe, right?
Yeah, usually when they do that, that means they're going to be a brand split. That means half the brand is going to be at Raw, and the other one's going to be doing a house show. So you're probably going to get like one or two A-plus players, but that's about it. So expect to see a lot of guys that'll probably be on SmackDown being there.
Well, okay.
You're not going to see Roman Reigns. You're not going to see the Usos. You're not going to see AJ Styles. I can tell you that from now. That's not happening.
So say goodbye to your Undertaker dreams.
Yeah. Well, that's my thought. And there was going to be rumors. There's rumors that Cena was coming back that night. So I don't know. But regardless, Dustin, the dilemma that we talked a little bit about here earlier on in the show. I don't know how much of it you've been listening to. I know you've been watching the Heat game, and I know you were watching Raw. But we had a caller talk a little bit about Ed Valero, who basically did the same thing as Chris Benoit, killed his whole family, his wife, whatever. So that was cool because callers mean people are listening.
Who is
always
the same
awesome.
thing as Benoit?
Edwin Valero, the boxer.
Oh, okay.
Now, it's always great to have callers because that means people are listening, which we always do hear on our podcast here at Overtime.News. But Jason's dilemma was this. And I'll let him give you a little bit of a background on it. But Jason has the option to go to Summerslam at the Barclays Center, okay, which is on my birthday, August 21st. Thank you. And he can go enjoy the event, drink some beers, watch a great SummerSlam event, and then come here and do Off the Ropes the next night and talk about it. Or through his work gig, he can go to the MTV. Is the movie or the Music Awards? Music Awards. The Music Awards. So, Jason, give Dustin the rundown, and then he'll tell you what he thinks you should do.
Yeah, so usually I normally wouldn't have to work, but since it's going to be the VMAs is going to be at the Garden, they asked if people wanted to work and help backstage with production. I already requested the weekend off so I could pretty much enjoy the SummerSlam weekend because that's always going to be festive in its own self. But knowing that they're going to drop, knowing that I have the exclusive, that they're going to do two big opening tributes and then one closing tribute. The opening one's going to be Dave Bowie, and the closing is going to be Prince. Do I work it, enjoy that, or do I enjoy some SummerSlam, knowing that the roster is going to be finally at 100% back to normal now that everybody will be back by SummerSlam?
And let me just add a quick point. They're going to be doing at the MTV Awards, they're going to be doing a tribute to Bowie and a tribute to Prince, which might be awesome things to see live. And SummerSlam, the way pay-per-views have been on WWE, even though it's the second biggest one besides WrestleMania, I don't know. I mean, he could walk to it, doesn't have to deal with traffic, whereas the Garden's a little bit farther away from him, but he's just dilemma as to which one he wants to do at this point.
It depends on what's more important to you, wrestling or, I don't know, I guess, music / entertainment. As far as the genre goes, I personally would rather see an in-person wrestling event than an awards show. Only because the award shows are not going to be, in my opinion, any different than they would be on TV. Now, if you're behind the scenes and you're working it, it might be worse or it might be way better. It might be worse because you might have to be working. You know what I mean? It might be much better because you legitimately might see some cool stuff, meet some celebrities, whatever. And then it comes down to money, right? Because you're going to be getting paid to be at the event. So now you're enjoying something and being paid to do so. So that's a double dipper. But I personally, knowing how inconsistent wrestling has been, I would need to see I would need to see a major confirmation that all the main guys are back. Gotcha. Otherwise I'd be going to VMAs just because of, I mean, you heard me. I'm not touching the product until Rollins is back. I'm on strike for Rollins because that's how bad that last pay-per-view was.
Well, did you see Raw tonight by any chance, or have you not watched it yet?
No, I actually watched it, but I skipped through the entire thing because there wasn't a single thing worth hitting play for. I know exactly what happened. Exactly. I know it all the build-up sucked. I know it ended with Big Cass and Jericho, and then Ambrose coming out with Jericho. It's like, I'm over it. Give Ambrose the title match. Stop putting him in these dumb, stupid storylines that don't do anything. Stupid idiot. That's the best part of that whole thing is Jericho. So my biggest problem is, look at guys like Zig. Talk about Swiggy Fresh. How about Ziggy Fresh? The guy's a jobber now. He's out there just taking losses. Are you kidding me? Dolph Ziggler was in the title picture for not even a full year ago. So I don't understand what's going on. Ziggler is one of the most, I think, versatile ring talents they got on the roster right now. He's probably, I mean, I don't know how everybody wants to rank the new blood. Personally, I think Kevin Owens is too fat to be in front of a camera. But Zayn's fit. He moves good. Him and AJ could have a hell of a match, I think.
He's got to get rid of those racing pants, though, man. Those things are atrocious.
Whatever. I mean, that's all part of his stupid-ass style, coming out, doing his dumb dancing and crap. That's his whole thing.
Those are idiots.
Yeah, he's a moron.
Why are we seeing a match? But see, now, Dustin, do you feel that in the attitude I don't want to necessarily say the Attitude Era, because any time from 97 all the way up till about 2005, the undercard talent was so much more, was so much better. We used to see bigger names. I understand Goldust sort of fell off, so we would see Goldust versus Dion Dudley or something like that in the earlier matches of the night before the main event. Still bigger names, still exciting matches, still great stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, what the funny thing is if you go back to WWE Network, all right,
which I have,
play a Raw is War from beginning to end. There was maybe 5 matches. It was a lot of behind the scenes,
talking.
Cuts, a lot of.
Well, they were also 2 hours though. They were also 2 hours with commercials, so that the whole thing was only about an hour and 30.
Yeah, but you could cut out 8 to 9, and you're still gonna get 8 matches. You know what I mean? They're still gonna cram all that crap in there. So it doesn't the expansion to me doesn't matter. I don't. The one thing I saw that happened tonight that I liked was they gave you the the trailer at the beginning of Raw, which they haven't done for forever. at the beginning of Raw, you usually only get the trailer after the pay-per-views, where it's like last week, blah 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 happened, and now what's gonna happen? Yeah. So those
and I liked the way Raw ended last week. AJ getting on to the table and all that. That was very reminiscent of my childhood. I enjoyed that.
So what exactly? So that rivalry right there is what's going to carry this brand until Rollins, Cena, Orton, whatever, all of those guys that I don't think matter. What's his face with the Dirty Wife Beater clan, the Wyatt, once he comes back, like once they all get back, then that rivalry can maintain and be an undercard, solid co-main event every night. Like when you think about it, DX was the main event every night. DX versus the Nation, DX versus Corporation, DX versus this, that, and the other. But at the same time,
they were good matches. It was entertaining.
But they also think about it like this: DX pretty much had a match all night. It was X-Pac in the first match, Road Dogg in the next match, or Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, Chyna, then Triple H. So it's like they were in every. It was the DX show. So this is my issue: is if you're gonna do the faction thing, do it right. So if you're gonna bring back the club, if that's what you're gonna call it, I mean that couldn't be a more stupid ripoff of the Click, if you ask me. I mean, I know they do the Kiss thing to as a hat tip to the Click, and they've been doing that since New Japan. So I'm not gonna totally dig into them on biting the little Wolfpack Kiss, but at the same time, I just think build them back up correctly. Bring up what's his face, Balor. Bring him up, have him in there. So now there's 4 of them. And then, I mean, I would even, the amount of talent that they just let go of, that these guys must have said no, because if you put Ryback and Wade Barrett in that and created like a super club, like that would have been nasty. Like my favorite times over the last 5 years was Nexus, and then what was the other one that came up from NXT?
Well, Evolution was before that.
No. It wasn't Evolution. New Nexus came up.
The
core. Yeah. So it's like, and then Shield, right? So it's like all of these, the coolest ones are the ones that are large teams. So I thought Nexus is crazy because it's like, well, dude, how are you going to stop them? You're going to need 5 guys just to come out and fight each guy 2-on-1. So it's like, those are the best times to make factions and these stables work, but they never seem to get past 3 people. I don't understand that. I don't understand why a stable can't go 4, can't go 5,
especially
can't go
on a 3-hour show when you have time to put them
exactly.
individually in different matches. Well, Dustin makes a point, but my point I was making before was, you had your undercard talent was so talented with, my example was like Devon Dudley.
X-Pac was like a sub-card guy, but he realistically wasn't terrible. X-Pac's the equivalent to Sami Zayn, but he has a reputation back then. So Pac put in his years.
My point is, why am I sitting here through the first hour of Raw watching,
Why are you? Why aren't you fast-forwarding like me? You know what I mean? That's my point.
My point is, why am I watching Fandango versus R-Truth, with Tyler Breeze and a washed-up Goldust, who now is called Goldango because he decided he wants to be a dancer now. And why am I watching Fandango, who I didn't like when he debuted, and now against R-Truth, who's really become just
isn't
a comic
that the
relief.
ultimate? Yeah, isn't that the ultimate sign that it's about to end? I wish that we could have asked Buff when we had him on a couple of times, if he ever knew guys that were getting phased out, and if he could read it in them, like if you could see it in their eyes, you could see it. Because I think that there becomes a point where you start to say, if I'm just doing goofy shit, like they're clearly not interested in me.
Yeah.
Like if I'm out here doing, talking to, the little, what was our truce gag? It used to be little Jimmy. So like that was his thing, right? And it's like that was 5 years ago. So this dude has done a hell of a job of just hanging on for life. I don't know what he's doing behind the scenes. Maybe he's mowing everybody's lawns and shit, but he's doing something for them to keep him around, because I'm telling you right now, he's certainly not a great performer. Like, you can it's very easy for everyone to judge a performer. And I hate and I hate the Usos for that exact reason. Just shut up. Yeah, just shut up and come out to your music, dude. Like nobody wants to hear you. The reason I'm a very simple guy. I want some nice epic music. I want, whatever, type character you are, own that. Austin, the
when are we ever going to get a guy
heavy metal? He just walks down with his mean mug, and then HBK. True. His music starts. He comes out all flamboyant like a fag, and then he's just running, walking down, making everybody laugh and uncomfortable.
Oh,
and
the F word.
This guy's hilarious because he makes you uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
So he owned that character. So my thing is that Tyler Breeze kid may suck and he may have a garbage character, but he's owning it, right? He comes out with his stupid little selfie stick. He comes out with his dumb face. And he's doing his character. That's great. Now, that might not land. I hope it doesn't because I hate that stuff. I think you can go a long way with just the very generic I'm a good guy, I'm a bad guy thing. You can do the dark Randy Orton thing, and you can do the I'm a super for the company guy John Cena thing all day until you're blue in the face, and you can replicate it and clone it 10 times over. That's why there's no need for these extremes. Like, yeah, it's cool when a Kane shows up, but there doesn't need to be 7 of them. So my thing is like, let's get a big guy in with a weird mask.
Here is,
go ahead.
on this, I have a question regarding this as well. I'm watching. You just look at the difference in talent. You go on and you look at all the people that would have the talent, even the lower guys. Like I would take a Father or a Venus or even some of the guys back then who were doing things. I'm trying to. I just say how they take these guys and they push them down throat. Like they did it a little bit in 2002 when Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig came over, and he already walked up. You could tell. So I want young talent. That's why I like the NXT thing. But I just don't.
You brought up the draft, right?
Truth.
You just brought up the draft, the first draft that they did.
This is why I want to ask you. I said, I asked Jason earlier if we had a draft right now of any WWE or WWF, WCW, ECW, any wrestler from the history of time.
You're going a little extreme here, but okay.
Well, any wrestler of the history of time that you could choose. Now, I did put the disclaimer in that guys like Captain Lou Albano, Ted DiBiase, Jake the Snake Roberts, before our time, we don't get a lot of chances in Ricky Steamboat. Guys
I would
chance to
in
watch.
their prime, I would hands down take Shawn Michaels all over again because he carried the company and he revolutionized the game.
Yeah.
Well, I asked Jason. I said, "Who would your number one pick be?" And Jason, without hesitation, I was the one who was waffling on my own question, not sure who I was going to take. Jason, without flinching, said Shawn Michaels, and I was like, wow.
Think about wrestling back then. Yeah, well, think about wrestling back then. It was a lot of the shoulder grapples, hip throws. We'll do ropes, maybe an elbow drop. Shawn went over the rope. Shawn did kip-ups. Shawn did super kicks. Shawn did, missile drop kicks, moonsaults. Shawn was the guy that the Hardys learned from. You know what I mean? So it's like these were all a lot of big dudes that didn't want to jump, the Kevin Nashes, the Hulk Hogans. So Shawn was the guy who was like, you know what, screw it, I'll do it. I'll put myself over the top. Now, this is what happens. Exactly. Triple H didn't want to do that. But now this is what comes with the territory. Now, I learned a lot from Buff, right? And he had a pill addiction at one time. Doesn't anymore. Good for him. But there's a lot of guys that do currently and will always. And that's what you do. That's what was the doom of Jeff Hardy. He couldn't get off of drugs because he's throwing himself off a damn ladder 30 feet in the air onto whatever. Of course,
some of the party matches were just grouping the.
But that's my point, right? With that extreme excitement, comes that type of the consequences. Chris asked me the other day, do you believe in karma? No, I believe every action has a reaction. So you throw yourself off a cell, you might be sore for the rest of your life. Like it kind of comes with the territory. It wasn't like, were you a good person in life? No, you can be the best person in the world. You're throwing yourself off of 30-foot stories, you're gonna hurt. But so I'm glad that he gave the props to Sean. But what I want to do is I definitely want to plug one of our writers on Overtime.news did a crazy article, and I dropped it in the chat box for Chris and Jason if they haven't checked it out yet.
I just pulled it up. It's great.
It's a really cool, in-depth 1 through 15, the new era in quotation draft, meaning if they were to do the draft right now, who your picks 1 through 15, and this kid did it out 1 through 15. And I'm going to be honest with you. I might move a couple of people up or down. I'm certainly taking that toolbox Enzo Amore the hell out of there. But other than him,
you don't like Enzo?
No, he sucks. Other than him, I'm going to be honest with you. I'd replace him straight in that spot at the 7 with the gorgeous redhead Eva Marie, because I think the girls need to bump up a few more spots. Because I think,
by the way,
yeah. Well, I think if you were to do this thing the correct way, you would have to do like, Seth Rollins 1, Flair 2, what's her face, Charlotte 2, because you can't rank the girls that low, because it's like, well, if you want to make it like I was telling,
why are the women so low?
Exactly, but I was also telling Jason, I think it would be better for this business if they did co-main events, meaning main event, the dudes, and then the match right before it, something with the women's title. It doesn't have to be suspended.
They used to do that. I mean, you used to watch on WWE Network, and they used to have the Trish Stratus Lita match right before the main event. They used to do that all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's not, I mean, come on. I mean, this whole Diva Revolution thing started because they didn't feel like they were treated as equals. So, I mean, let's go. Get it done. I mean, that's a simple fix. All you're doing is moving a match.
I'm looking at this photo. Jason, do you see this? I'm looking at this photo. Do you think Finn Balor, now obviously he's much more supremely talented than the attention, but with all the face paint, with the crazy hair, doesn't he look like a modern-day boogeyman?
He does. He does.
You remember the boogeyman?
Talent. Yeah.
He used to eat worms and slap himself in the face with a block and all that, but I'm looking at this face paint, I'm like, wow, that's the Boogeyman all over again. He's 10 times more talented. Boogeyman only lasted about a year. Wow, I just realized that. So Joey Allen, great article. For those listeners, hey, we had a caller tonight, which was a random caller, which means that people are listening, so that's great. Down the road, we might have Booker T. We're still working on that. This has been Off the Ropes. We had Dustin come in. Dustin, I think, is going to take Shawn Michaels, and for some reason, Jason's going to take Shawn Michaels. I'm still unsure.
Stone Cold. Chris Pickett's Stone Cold.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that The Undertaker is worth jack crap in this business. I'm sorry.
You have to. I think you have to take Stone Cold or The Rock.
The Undertaker was Snoop Dogg. He's the guy that stuck around and he was just there off a legacy.
Come on, give the dead man some more credit than that. But anyway,
Snoop Dogg.
Minute 41 to go. Make sure you check out the new show tomorrow, Sports Roundup, from 11 to 1. We're going to have the full crew. Jesse's going to be joining us. Brianna's calling in. Jeremy in a couple weeks when school's over. It's eat lunch with us. Listen to the sports talk debate. That's going to be great. Again, this has been Off the Ropes. It's been a great show. Dustin, we just wanted to get your take on his dilemma. I think we both agreed he should go to SummerSlam. I can go to SummerSlam because I'm not going to go by myself.
Only if it's a full roster. Only if it's a full roster.
It should be. If August, it should be.
If they do not confirm, right, if Rollins hasn't come back yet and there's nothing on the internet that says, Hunter just said he'll be there, then I'm sorry, dude. I'm not wasting the time. Because I'm telling you right now, unless they do something DX like bring back the Bullet Club full force, like make some cool gang warfare stuff happen, I'm not even watching Extreme Rules because it's a garbage brand right now. It's just such trash.
Dustin doesn't seem to think The Undertaker counts, but you know what? The Undertaker is our outro music. We'll see y'all next week. Off the Ropes. Thank you very much.